I don't see how we can make bigger enemies.
To be offended or frightened of everything.
So you've become like the sort of Tony Scarface of podcasting.
Welcome to the morning show. Happy Wednesday to you. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. We love you. If you haven't done so already, we mention this every week and we will continue to mention it. Head on over to patreon.com/Pantelis. Get yourself a plan that works for you and get yourself access to a bunch of exclusive content. It's good. It's good. You're going to laugh. You're going to love it. You're going to have a good time. And then, of course, you can come back to this YouTube channel and subscribe. We love the subscribers. The more the merrier. The show is produced by the Poseidon 69. I'm Poseidon.com if you guys have internet. And if you want to check out his website. And before me is the man, the myth, the legend, Ed Bird.
I need a plan that works for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You seem to be happy enough, though.
I'm doing okay. You know what? For a guy with who lives with his cat and doesn't have a job, I'm doing all right.
Standing by the Terry and Ted podcast coming very soon on this here channel. So again, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Every time there's something new, you'll be getting a little beep, 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 and you'll be able to access it. When is the new season starting?
The new season is going to start in early September. Meanwhile, end of July, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, Terry and I are going to be live co-hosting comedy shows at the Comedy Nest.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know if that's public knowledge or if I'm supposed to talk about it. I don't see why I wouldn't be allowed to. No?
It's a promotion.
Yeah, I think it's part of the Just for Laughs. I don't know if it's part of the Well, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if this is part of the Reborn Just for Laughs or if this is separate. But
it's a Reborn Just for Laughs.
Yeah, well,
no, but what he's saying, he's not sure if it's part of that festival or if it's just an adjacent
something different.
Oh,
but it's Club Soda, Friday, July 26th, 7 and 10 p.m. Saturday, July 27th, 7 p.m. for sure. I'm not sure yet if there's going to be a second show.
That's very late for you. Are you going to be awake?
Yeah, I'll be fine. Yeah. I got some... I'll get hooked up. Yeah. So Terry and I are going to be co-hosting live these comedy shows like we used to do with the old Montreal show back in the Just for Laughs days. So it'll be a bit of a reunion of sorts, and it'll be fun, and it'll give us a chance to talk about the podcast. We got to learn marketing. I did a comedy show. There was a comedy festival last week called Comedy on the Well. Mm-hmm. Wellington Street in Verdun.
Yeah.
There were comedy shows at venues along Wellington Street. And so I hosted one upstairs at Taverne Le Trèfle. Mm-hmm. And great show, small, intimate room, great crowd, many laughs, lots of fun. And I said, hey, anybody here listening to or watching the Terry and Ted podcast?
No.
One lady.
Oh, that's funny.
One lady. And it's because, and I had people come up to me afterwards and say, you and Terry have a podcast? Yeah, it's called Standing By, the Terry and Ted podcast. It's on the Pantelis Comedy Network. People don't know. So like some people know, obviously, you know, we get thousands of downloads, but but we need to market it better than we do. And we're going to start doing that. Terry's wife, Jess, is going to get more involved, and that's her area of expertise, marketing. You know? Like Terry and I, when it comes to marketing and sales, we're like Chris Farley's character in Tommy Boy. You remember him?
Yeah.
You want to buy some brake parts? No. Okay. Sorry to bother you. Thanks for your time. That's us. We're bad at that.
Yeah.
We're good at what we do.
It's not, and also don't forget that you guys have been so used to having this entire machine behind you.
Yeah, we're part of it.
You just have to show up, do what you did best, and everything else was taken care of.
Yeah. So in the podcasting game, you have to do a lot of your own marketing and sales, and we're learning that, and we're learning how to do that. So this will be part of that exercise for us to get up in front of some live audiences at Club Soda, which is a popular comedy venue in Montreal, and it'll give us a chance to spread the word about the podcast.
It's exciting. It's going to be, not only the season, which is going to be exciting. I don't know how public it is about Terry. I don't
Ixnay, Barney, Ixnay. Yeah. Let's just say we're going to step up the podcast game. The Standing By podcast is going to be, instead of doing seasons like we used to do, where we would, do a season of 10 episodes and release one per week. We're hoping, starting in the fall, that it's going to be every week without these long hiatuses. Hiati. And maybe even a couple of times a week.
That's so fun.
Yeah,
great news.
We're gonna let's stop there. Again, I don't know how much information you guys have shared.
Yeah, well, we're gonna sit down. We're gonna sit down with Terry's wife, Jess, is gonna help us with the marketing. We're gonna sit down with Pantelis, who is our pod father. He wants to
our pod father.
He wants to do some new things with the podcast. We're gonna do some overhauls. He wants to make it more like the old radio show, the old Terry and Ted radio show used to be. Without turning the clock completely back to where listen to these fucking guys. They're doing the same thing they used to do back in 1992. No. It's not going to be like that. But it's going to be like that.
It won't be like that, but it'll be exactly like that.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying is that it's going to have elements of that. We're going to be like, comfortable old slippers. We're gonna look bad and smell funny, but it's gonna be nice.
No
it's
way.
Gonna feel good.
I missed you guys last week, man. We didn't have a show last week.
We're gonna have a show this week.
I managed. Yeah, the timing falls perfect because had my short vacation happened this week, I would have been upset.
Where did you go?
Up north. We just
chalet, chilling.
Do you have a cottage?
My parents have a place up north. Yeah, we've had it since the early 80s. I think 83.
Yeah.
In Saint Adolphe. Dower.
Excuse me, where?
Saint Adolphe Dower.
Saint Adolphe Hitler?
Saint Adolphe.
Is that where all the Jews go?
No, but there's a huge.
So it wasn't just Argentina they escaped to.
No. Straight to Saint Adolphe. Right? Yeah, they hit in the Laurentians.
Saint Adolphe Hitler.
Saint Adolphe.
Or as they now call it, Trump.
But there's a huge Hasidic Jewish community.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
A little further. It's in Val David.
Okay.
It's right before Saint Agatha.
Yeah.
So it's nice. I mean, we haven't really vacationed since 2016. It's been we haven't left. So the fact that we actually managed to, I don't know how we managed to.
Did you get a whole weekend or just a few days?
No, a little more than a week. Yeah, we managed to figure out the puzzle and we got ourselves replaced and we managed to move things around and we actually got a little over a week.
Job.
Yeah.
How long did you spend?
I went, when was it? 2 weekends ago, we went to Tremblant with a bunch of guys. We do it once a year. It's like we go play golf in Tremblant.
So it wasn't a family vacation?
It was. So I spent the weekend with the guys.
You took a little side trip to golf
so it was
with the
2
boys.
nights with the guys in Tremblant, and then I left and I met up with my wife and the kids at our place in Saint Adolphe, and we stayed for the week.
Yeah, the kids like it? They get bored, or did they like it?
No. I mean, look, the kids. I mean, they're always going to find things to do. The kids, we had some friends also come for a couple of days as well. So we have
Is it a
company.
little community, or is your place like isolated on its own?
Yeah, it's like a house on a hill. There's a lake.
But I mean, are there other places around? Yeah,
there's
you have
houses.
neighbors.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you're not like it's not an isolated cabin.
No.
Okay.
There's houses and there's a beach, and we're just a couple minutes away from the village in Saint Adolphe, and then about 15-ish minutes to Saint Agathe. It's nice. It's nice, relaxing. On the beach, at the lake.
Cool. Nice beach or rocks or
the lake that we have, we're in front of Lac du Coeur. So it used to be nice when we were growing up. They used to maintain it. It's a private beach, so everyone around it, we pay a membership. There's like a little association of the residents that are around that lake, so they take care of everything around the lake. But it's been let down recently. I mean, it's not that nice. So we drove. We drove to the village. It's a bigger lake, nicer beach. And we also spent some time at the even bigger lake in Saint Agathe, which is nice. Yeah.
By the way, shout out to my buddy Zach, who's been a guest on this show.
Yeah.
This is his landscaping.
Cactus, déneigement, paysagiste, excavation.
He does.
We can't see. There's the chair. When you turn around,
It's just true, right? He does snow removal in the winter and landscaping and excavation, and I think he does some foundation work as well.
He's a good guy. If you guys need anything,
he's a great guy. Yeah. So I told him, I said, like, he also bought a grass cutting company.
Oh, nice.
And he's got a bunch of contracts out in Centerville. And I said to him, I'm not working. If you need someone, I'll cut grass for you this summer. And he said, I'll let you know if I need somebody. And I said, teach me how to drive the fucking riding mower and I'll do that. But I think he's afraid that at my age, I'm going to have a heart attack and die in the heat. Yeah. And he might be legally liable. So I never heard back from him on that, but that's fine.
I'm sure if he needs anyone, he'll call you.
No, he won't. He'll call. He'll call somebody 40 years younger than me.
But it's so easy cutting grass. I mean, anyone can do it. And
Well, I know, yeah. But I think, he's, and I keep myself in good shape for my age. But I think he just thinks fucking.
There's also the factor that when you have a close friend, mixing it, the job, sometimes it's a little.
Yeah, but I'm a good worker.
Yeah.
I have a good work ethic, and I'll do what I'm told.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd be happy to cut the grass. But anyway, whatever. Next time.
Yeah. So what did you guys do this week?
Watched the TV.
Yeah.
Argued with people on social media.
What a fucking crazy couple days, huh?
Yeah.
And I think I messaged you guys. We're in a group chat with Pantelis as well. What a crazy time to be alive. And here's the irony of everything. We're obviously talking about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. For anyone that loves history and that has read or studied it or whatever, and I don't know about you, and I know that you're a huge history buff, but every time you read something interesting, I always wonder, oh shit, it must have been interesting. It would have been so interesting to live in whatever that particular time, to see these things unfolding live, right? Even though you really don't, nobody wants to be alive like in Poland in 1944, right?
No.
But when you're reading history, you're like, shit, I wonder how it must have been live, or like seeing history unfold before your eyes, and then you had the JFK assassination, and
that's my first conscious memory. You know that?
Yeah.
That was 1963. I was 4 years old,
right?
And I remember. The reason I remember that is I remember how upset my parents were. We were in the car and they were listening to the radio and they were upset. And then I remember watching the funeral, and I remember seeing John F. Kennedy Jr., who would have been about the same age as me, maybe a year younger.
Yeah.
And the first conscious memory. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, but see, it's events, historical events like that, right? Then Martin Luther King, then Robert Kennedy.
Yeah, remember all those too,
right?
Yeah.
So for us that are much younger, we read these and you're like, fuck, wow, shit, this is incredible. I mean, are we ever going to even live something like this again? Like, I mean, just experience something that is going to go down in history, right? And you're living it,
Yeah.
And then boom, this happens.
Yep.
And I was actually up north. It happened on Saturday, right?
Saturday at 6:11.
So it was right before we left from up north, and my wife is just on Twitter. I don't know what she's doing. She's like, Trump got shot? I'm like, oh, come on, man, what a stupid meme, you know. She goes, no, what is this? I'm like, come on, you're joking, right? She's like, no, I think he got assassinated. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then we ran, and there was he was alive. We saw the whole thing, and I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. I'm like, shit, this is major. And then, you know, we know what we know now, right? All the information.
Yeah.
that
Did you
came
have
out.
access to television? Where you were?
No.
Eh?
Well, we have a TV,
Yeah.
and one of the reasons I had to go up anyway was to fix it for my dad. It's a satellite dish,
Okay.
but I couldn't. I never managed to fix it.
So how did you? Did
So
you,
it was
were
all
you able to
social media.
stream it? Were you able to stream live coverage, or were you just
no?
keeping
It
up
was
to date
it
on-
was just different things coming out on online,
Right.
And then you saw the famous clip there where he turns and
Yeah.
they goes
Yeah.
down and all that stuff. And I was like, shit. And then, my dad, the typical immigrant who automatically goes to the conspiracy theory. It's all fixed. It's all fixed so he could win. La, 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 this
So
and that.
he really, I would have been
It's-
disappointed. I would have said, Dad.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about, man? This just happened. You don't
Yeah.
even know. You know the facts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is,
So does he have Trump derangement syndrome, your dad?
No, I don't think so. I think, he's always been fascinated by politics, my dad, especially, obviously with Greece and stuff. But it's just this reflex of jumping on off. Come on, man, this is fake. They probably did it.
I
to
saw a
boost-
lot of that on social media
Yeah.
right out of the gate from people who should know better.
Yeah,
from people who should know better than to jump to that
It's
conclusion.
like, what are you talking about? Like, what? And you know what? I think maybe it's this thing because we mentioned before JFK, right? And it's still, there's so many question marks around that death, right? It's
Yeah.
like, was it fixed? Was it planned? Was it not? This and that. So I
Yeah,
think
but it
maybe,
wasn't staged by JFK. I think we can conclude
No,
that.
exactly.
And that's what was disappointing to me and made my eyes roll into the back of my head was people saying right away, Trump staged this to get sympathy and votes. Really? You think so?
Yeah.
You think he had himself shot and one of his supporters killed?
Yeah, exactly.
So that, and people are still going down that road on social media.
And I think it'll always happen. And I think,
But that's, to me, that's the very definition of Trump derangement syndrome. That's deranged thinking.
I don't know if it's just Trump. I think, and it's not just my dad. I think like a lot of the, these people, the older generation, because of when it comes to assassination attempts or actually assassinations that they've lived, and the fact that you have no information, and there's so much.
Well, there's definitely something fishy about it, and there are some questions that need to be answered, but I don't believe for a single second that Trump set it up.
No. But that's impossible. It's impossible. Like, how do you, you would have to be completely demented to come up.
Make sure you just hit me in the ear.
Yeah, make sure you
just wing me.
perfectly. I'll come on, man. It makes no sense. But was there any other, I don't want to say intentional but definitely there was negligence. There's definitely negligence.
It was either
now,
gross
was it
incompetence or something
intentional?
more
Was it intentional or
malicious?
not?
Yeah.
I don't know. And I'm hoping that there's going to be a proper investigation. I know Biden announced it.
But there has to be an independent congressional investigation.
That's what he
You
announced,
can't-
I think,
You
yeah.
can't have the Secret Service and the FBI investigating it because that's like
obviously.
having the weasels who broke into the hen house and killed all the chickens investigate the hen house break-in.
Yeah.
Like you can't do that. There has to be an independent, impartial investigation.
Just to go back, in case anyone is living under a rock and perhaps missed it. So last Saturday there is a huge rally, a Trump rally in Pennsylvania. There's a 20-year-old that climbs this roof of a farmhouse or whatever the fuck it was.
It's like a warehouse.
Yeah, warehouse, like about 130 yards away.
Yeah.
And he shot Trump, and you saw that graphic or 3D thing, eh?
Where it shows where he turns his head at the
We're
last
talking
second.
about split seconds. He turned around to show a graph that he was showing to the people about irregular migrants or illegal migrants going into the U.S. And the minute he turned around to look at the thing, it grazed his ear.
If he had not turned his head at that split second, he would have his brains would have been all over.
It would have been over. And there were 3 shots, I think. And all
I
of
don't know
them.
how many the gunman got off.
Yeah, well, because on that thing, on that little visual that they show, you see 3 bullets. Now I don't know how close they passed, but you identify the one that grazed his ear. I mean, fuck, you got to be lucky. I mean, think about that. I mean, we're talking about what, centimeters off, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just a slight little degree, you're done.
Yeah, but there was deadly collateral damage. A man was killed. A
man was
50-year-old
killed.
Former fire chief was killed shielding his family, from the gunfire. And, you know, there are so many angles.
Back in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
There are so many angles to this, including all the unanswered questions about how did he get up there?
Yeah.
And there are indications that he was up there for like close to they knew he was up there for close to half an hour.
They were following
And there
him.
are videos of people
Alerting
on the
the
ground
cops.
pointing, going, hey, there's a guy up on the roof.
with a rifle.
Yeah. Officer, there's a guy up on the roof.
Yeah.
And there were supposedly law enforcement, and I don't know if it was local law enforcement or Secret Service, who were inside that building. They secured that building from the inside, and when the director of the FBI was asked yesterday, or the day before, I think it was yesterday, why was there no one up on the roof? Well, because it was too steep.
Yeah.
And
you see the shooter, you see the snipers behind Trump.
Yeah, and they're on a steep roof as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it just
Stupid excuses.
A lot of unanswered, a lot of unanswered questions, and I don't know. You know, are they just trying to cover up their incompetence? Like, I can't believe that, you know, security operations at that level, protecting a former U.S. president and current presidential candidate, I can't believe that there would be that level
It was a
of incompetence.
major flop. And I was thinking about, you know, telling you like everything that I've experienced personally about the security detail that I've seen.
Yes, because you've been active in politics.
And we'll get to that. But when I saw that, my immediate reflex was, it's impossible that a fucking sniper hasn't been identified. Like how like you're the same question. How does he even get on the roof?
Yeah.
And then with all the information that was coming up, when you realize that they were monitoring him from, you know, the snipers, from one of the things I read, they were monitoring him for over 5 minutes, seeing what is he going to do. And then you look at all the other, people that were attending that were filming it on their phone, telling the cops. And this is like dozens of minutes before, like 10, 15 minutes before.
Yeah, they say
the
25
shooting.
for 25 minutes.
Right.
They had indications 25 minutes before the shooting that he was up there.
So there's no way that the communication broke down to the point that nobody knew it.
Yeah.
So something, but from the experience that I have, that scenario would be impossible to achieve because you've crossed every single possibility to protect your politician.
Right.
What would be quote unquote more normal for me is that someone in the crowd that kind of approaches him and stabs him or shoots him like at a close distance. You don't know you can't predict that. The crowd is so huge that it would be impossible to identify anyone that would be close, you know, at a closer range.
Yeah, but this guy was
sniper.
Obvious in an obvious location.
Exactly. Not only that, it's incredible for me to think that location wasn't protected.
Yeah.
Like it's in the vicinity.
The roof was too steep, George.
Sorry?
The roof was too steep. Yeah, it was too sloped. You wouldn't want the agents falling off and hurting themselves.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what kind of answers we're going to get from this investigation, but it was definitely a flop. And you know the other thing, Ted? You don't expect that from the U.S. Secret Service. These guys are on top of the game. They are the best of the best. They don't fuck around.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
But are they the best of the best?
Well, now,
a lot of people are making. There's a lot of jokes going around about DEI in the Secret Service because of the one lady agent who couldn't even fucking get her gun holstered.
She looked nervous as hell.
Yeah, she did, and you could hear one of them, a female voice.
What do we do? Where do we go?
Yeah.
Clear panic. And I can understand, right? Your president was just shot. Your adrenaline is rushing.
Yeah, but your training should kick in at that point.
Exactly. But it goes to show you that regardless of the amount of training you do, when you are living the actual moment, you can't control your emotions.
Well, I think that depends on the individual.
Yeah,
I think different people. I think the ones who are good they do control their emotions.
And everybody's sorry to interrupt, but everybody's like, oh, they shouldn't hire fucking women in the Secret Service. I'm very sorry, but on stage, one of the agents that was covering Trump and carrying him and covering him and coming out was a woman. So it has nothing to do with women or men.
Yeah. It's all to hire them on merit.
Yeah.
If a woman's the best one for the job, hire her.
Yeah.
If a two-spirit indigenous lesbian dwarf is the best one for the job, hire them. Yeah.
It's incredible. And immediately after that, and like I was telling you, I kept thinking of all these instances that I witnessed these guys in action. And
so who would be the guys at the level that you were at? You worked for a provincial MNA.
It's the SQ.
Okay, so it's plainclothes SQ guys.
Yeah, it's SQ.
Okay.
But
are there specific guys who are trained specifically for security details that? Or are these guys who do all kinds of different things and that happens to be one of the things they do?
I don't know if they contract private security firms, but the people that I dealt with always were the SQ.
Yeah.
So, and they were fucking on the ball. And obviously, because we work closely with Justin Trudeau's office, there it's like a whole other level. And anyone that has been present in the last couple of years at the Greek Independence Day parade on Jean Talon, where Justin Trudeau always shows up,
right?
Because it's his riding. You see the snipers on the rooftops.
Is that JTF2? Do you know? That's because those are the Canadian military elite JTF2 Joint Task Force 2.
I would imagine it's the RCMP.
Those are like our Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
But I don't know if they're prime ministerial security detail.
I know that they're fucking on top of it. And I was talking at one particular, I think it was the first parade that he attended as a prime minister. I was talking to his staff, and they were telling me how difficult it was for them to plan everything because Justin was such a loose cannon, and it was his first year. He still wasn't used to the fact that I have a security detail now that manages everywhere I go. He couldn't understand that already.
Yeah.
You know?
He still wanted to wander off.
He's like, oh yeah, these are my people, blah blah blah, and he couldn't understand. And I think it was the RCMP or whoever plans these things for the federal government. They had a whole issue with him, keeping him,
in the box
on the plan, and say, listen, you can't fuck around. There's going to be thousands of people. You got to do it. You got to make it easy for us. And at the end of the day, this is the point I'm trying to make, is that these people don't work for the fucking president. They don't take orders from the president or the prime minister. It's the other way around. Whatever they tell you, you fucking do, because they have information that you probably don't. So you shut your mouth and you do it, right? And we're gonna get back to Trump, because a lot of things, and I've heard a lot of experts commenting on, what the fuck were they doing on the floor so long? Like, something happens within seconds, you got to get these people out within seconds. And we saw that with Pauline Marois when she won the election in 2012.
That's right. I forgot about
with the assassination attempt at the Metropolis. As soon as gunshots were fired, dude, she was out of the stage.
Yeah.
She was gone. They pulled her out. They dragged her.
Yeah.
This is the prime minister. Look at the premier. They fucking yanked her and fuck off, So that's what they need to do. They got to get you out. So the fact that they had Trump on the floor for, it seemed like forever, and then he got up and was like, wait, hold on.
Let me get my shoes and
he thought this is gonna be great for my fucking image. Get the blood out. I'm sure he thought about that shit, and good for him.
Yeah.
It works. It worked for him. That fucking famous photo.
I don't think he thought about that. I think
no.
I think he reacted instinctually.
No. They lifted him up, and you can hear him saying, wait, hold on a second. Wait.
Yeah.
And
that's part of what has people saying that it was all staged by him. But I don't believe that
he's
for
just
a minute.
that narcissist that thinks, I got to take advantage of this.
Yeah.
I'm alive. I'm good. I can stand. Okay, let's do it. So that part, I saw that, right. It wasn't staged or anything. He did it purposely. But back to the security detail. These guys don't fuck around.
So, having seen what you've seen,
look, I've dealt with these guys on 3 occasions. Twice during an election, and once during a brunch that we hosted, where we had Jean Charest. All 3 times it was Jean Charest. So the first time, I think it was in 2008. It was during the 2008 election. He was passing by our riding, and the advance team comes in. And I'm telling you, the way these guys work, it's like they have this mental checklist, and they just check boxes. And if it works, you're good. If it doesn't work, they cancel the whole thing.
Right.
They don't take, especially during an election where the premiers or the president or prime minister, whatever it is, the schedule can change from one minute to the next. So these guys, it's a rush. Like these guys have literally less than 48 hours to plan where he's going, unless it's been planned way in advance. But during the campaign, when things can change, you don't know how it might go. They're like, okay, fuck this plan. Let's go there this time, or we're gonna switch around. So these guys have a limited fucking window to prepare the ground for the premier. So they walk into our election committee. We're on Jean Talon, and the first thing they do, they had already printed out a map of Parc X. Not just a couple blocks, right? The entire fucking Parc X. They gave it to me, and they go, okay.
Hey, there's Marvin's.
Yeah. They walk in, hey, how are you? You know, this and that. We knew they were coming because we knew that, you know, the premier was planning a stop in our riding. It was going to be at night.
And who, Charest was premier at the time?
Yeah, it was Charest in 2008. So his advance team walks in. So these are regular staffers, right? I think there were 2. And they're always accompanied by SQ because they need to verify if everything is fine, right? Like the staffers don't understand location, you know, emergencies and stuff like that. So they're accompanied by 2 or 3 SQ guys, and there were 2 staffers. So like 5 guys walk in dressed in black sunglasses. You're like, what the fuck is going on here? So
when's Clint get here?
So they're like, all right, so the premier's coming in 2 days. They hand me a map, and the first they go, I want you to point arrows in the directions of each street in Parc X. We want to know east, west, north, south. We need to know where each street goes. I mean, they could do that, but I don't know why I had to do it. So they just handed me a map. They're like, just put the arrows. Let us know from here with the direction. I'm like, okay. While I was doing that, they were scouting our election committee. And the guy, fuck, man, these guys have this. I don't know how he saw it. I mean, to my eye, I couldn't see it. And they go, okay, where is he going to stand? You want him in front? And I'm like, maybe we're thinking in the front as you walk in, you know. He goes, you know, because it's a storefront, right, on Jean Talon that was empty, that we took for the election. He goes, in front of the window? I go, well, that's what we thought. He goes, nah, I don't think so.
Really? Too exposed?
Yeah. And I go, okay, well, the other, because it wasn't a huge place, right? I go, the only other place is in the back. And as soon as he turns around, he goes, nope, I see your roof is lower in the back than it is up here. I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean the roof? He goes, well, either the roof goes down or your floor goes up. He goes, but I see it's the height is smaller. I go, huh? He goes, we'll do it in the front. But he goes, you're going to have to cover your window. We'll put a curtain or whatever. I go, okay. And then he goes, everything you see here is gone. I don't want desks. I don't want computers. I don't want phones. I don't want wires. Everything gone. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, yeah, you have 1 day to clear your entire committee. Everything. I go, but this is our working station. Like, this is
fucking bad.
This is an election. What are you talking about? I go, no computers. How are we going to? He goes, no, everything's gone. I want this to be empty.
And this is the head of his security detail?
Yeah, this is the advanced team. Yeah. Well, it's the advanced team with a security guy. So I'm guessing they know, you know, they know how to work together.
Right.
And we had an emergency door in the back, and he goes, okay, where does this lead? Okay, perfect. So they can clear the path if ever they need to go up from the back. We're like, okay. He goes, okay, we'll do that, and then we'll get back to you a couple hours before to let you know if we're coming. I'm like, hold on a second. You want me to clear everything? Invite people? Do the whole thing, and then we'll only know a couple hours before? He goes, yeah, that's how it works. I'm like, fuck. You know, so you're on the edge now.
Yeah.
We had like hundreds of people in the place. They were crammed up. It was fucking hot, and we're like, is he gonna make it? Is he coming? So finally he came. Everything was good, and it was fun. But even during the event, you know, you're looking around and there's so many fucking people, and you see their eyes just playing. At some point,
the security guys.
Oh yeah. At some point, one guy, because we were next. There's a Turkish hairdresser, a Turkish barber on Jean Talon. You know the Turkish barber on Jean Talon in Champagneux?
No, but
it was an old Italian guy, Luigi, I think his name was. I don't know. I can't remember what his name was. Anyway, so it's a Turkish guy now. So we were literally next door. So, you know, we would talk to him every day. We were there, you know. So we go, hey, we have the premier. If you want, come by, you know.
Don't bring scissors.
Yeah, obviously. So the guy, he has a shop, right? So he comes over with his telephone. He has like a little portable telephone. He brings it in case it rings. I don't know. In case a client. So he walks into our thing and he's holding his telephone.
Uh-oh.
And one guy approaches me and he's like, don't look back. don't look back. He goes, look straight. And he's pointing at me. He goes, yeah, just look straight over there. But there's a guy behind us. He's holding a phone. He looks a little strange. Just, don't look back. Look over there. But he's pointing me, acting, so the guy won't notice it. Yeah. He goes, just, look behind over there and let me know if he's okay. And I'm like, what the fuck? And, like, he scared me. I'm like, what the fuck's happening? So I kind of gently just turn around and I see the guy. And
Luigi?
I start fucking laughing. No, it's the Turk, you know? Yeah. So the guy, this just goes to show you how people are completely unaware. Darker skin, all these features that automatically make you think, fuck this guy. I don't know, look at him, some Middle Eastern guy or whatever he is. I don't know, is he dangerous? And I go, dude, he's the fucking barber next door. I go, don't worry about it. Yeah. So everything went okay, And then the second time, and this was 2008, it wasn't a politically tumultuous time, right? But in the 2012 election with the student demonstrations and all that shit, we have the election, Charest comes and makes a stop, and it was just fucking chaos. It was chaos because his schedule is public. You had demonstrators in front fucking booing and throwing shit, and it was horrible.
Pots and pans.
Oh my goodness, it was horrible. But they did the whole thing again, clear everything. Like everything is so copy paste. They have a check mark.
When you describe that level of security and preparation, that makes it all the more improbable or inconceivable that there could have been a fuck up on that scale.
I think
the Trump rally.
Well, look, forget the Trump rally for a second. I think these guys, when they prepare, they know that. I think in the back of their minds, they're like, "There's going to be a fuck up." I don't think they think we got all the angles covered, everything is good and ready. They think there's going to be a fuck up. What do we do? So plan B, plan C, that's why he handed me the map, give me all the fucking directions. Where does this door lead? Where does that door lead? How do we, they have all these alternative scenarios. If anything goes wrong, what do we do? But it takes time. I'm guessing it takes time and practice and training. And, they don't just wake up one morning and say, oh, let's go protect the premier. I mean, they know what they're doing and they don't fuck around. And I've seen that also with Justin Trudeau. When I was talking to his staff, I think it was in 2016. It was his first parade, and they were telling me we have an issue with Justin. He just doesn't listen to anyone, and the security detail they had to multiply it because they didn't know what he was going to do. So in case he would just fucking wander off in one direction, they had to have snipers on pretty much every fucking rooftop on Jean Talon. It was impressive to see.
Right.
And one of the guys at our level now, provincial, and I was asking him, like, what the fuck do you guys do? And like in huge rallies, he goes, we take the shot. If we think that there's a risk, a potential risk or a security concern or whatever, we take the shot because we can justify our action based on what we feel, and we're going to be covered. Like, our job is to protect the premier. If at any point in time we feel like there's a security concern, there's an individual that seems a little, reaches in or whatever, and we have to shoot him, we take the fucking shot. You don't wait for anyone's order. Oh, do you see this guy? And what do you think? There's none of that.
Then why didn't they do that on Saturday?
I don't know.
Why didn't they do that on Saturday when it was so obvious? When the threat, from everything that we've seen and heard and read, the threat was obvious and was identified minutes in advance.
Yeah, I don't know.
So they couldn't see. So this is what I read. They couldn't see because the roof was sloped. So they didn't see him apparently until the last instant where he peeked over the slope of the roof. When he peeked over and he got 3 shots out, he was shot instantly.
I don't know, man, about that, Poseidon, because, I mean, first of all, this guy wasn't an elite fucking marksman or whatever.
No, he was a gun club member. Yeah. He had experience with guns.
But think about it. From what I've seen, he was 150 yards away. Mm-hmm. That's a huge fucking distance. I mean, think of it. It's more than a football field. Yeah. So for him to immediately peek over and get a shot and get Trump, fuck no, man. No way. There's no way. There's no way. Like, how good of a shooter are you?
Yeah,
but I think everything happens so fast. You don't have to.
No, it didn't happen fast. It happened like there were people. There were people minutes, several minutes beforehand going. Look, he's up there on the roof.
I read an article. Hold on. I read an article where it said that he didn't just go up once. He went up with a rangefinder.
Yeah,
he had a rangefinder, and then he went down. They see him going up with a rangefinder, they go back down. Then he comes back up with a backpack. He goes back down, and then he comes back up with a rifle. So, I mean, and they're seeing him doing this, right? And they're alerting the cops. They're alerting the authorities.
Oh, that's weird then.
So,
okay, never mind. Sorry.
Just to your argument, no, because maybe you read that and, okay, it's fine. Maybe that's one assumption, but, and I'm not an expert, I don't know, but it seems to me highly impossible that you just quickly peek over and shoot and get him.
Yeah.
And you get shot because they can't see you. Like, it's impossible. So I don't know what, and I think some anonymous person said that they were waiting for the order to shoot and they weren't giving it because they were watching him for minutes, right? And they weren't getting the order. But and that automatically
which completely contradicts what you were talking about if you see if there's a perceived threat, you take the shot.
Yeah. It's exactly what I thought. I'm like, that is impossible. And in the beginning, you don't know, right? You just see Trump getting shot. You're like, oh fuck, how the hell did that happen? And then all the videos are released where you have the snipers in the back, and I'm like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah. And it looks like those two guys that you see in the background, who apparently were the guys who took out the sniper, all indications are that they were zoned in on him.
Yeah, they were looking at him. It's evident.
Yeah. But they didn't shoot him until after he took the shots.
But again,
do you think
that's what that's what they said, that immediately upon shooting they shot him, but then you hear 3 gunshots. If you see the video, you hear multiple, like normally that'll be pow pow, like okay, he shot and then we shot him. But that's not what you hear. You hear like multiple gunshots. So I'm not so sure they shot him immediately after he shot. Anyways, we're assuming here, guys.
No. As soon as he fired off 3, because you could go 1, 2, 3, and like that's less than a second. Right. After he got off those 3 shots, they shot him instantly.
Right.
You know,
because if you play the video, you hear pow, pow, pow. Like it's not. I don't know. I mean, it seems as though the shots.
Do you think this goes on a deeper level, or it's just incompetence?
No, I think it's negligence. But again, and we're not.
It has to be investigated.
It has to be because, and again, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it seems as though. Plan to have that shooter, but maybe the fact that he was there, someone said, leave him, fuck it, ignore it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who's the Republican congressman who you sent us the clip of, the Republican congressman who is it Corey Mills? Is that his name? He was on CNN.
Yeah.
He's a U.S. Army veteran. He's a combat veteran. He has experience in counter sniper, as a counter sniper expert, and he was saying he was saying on CNN that this needs to be investigated from all angles, and he brought that up. He brought up that was this allowed to happen, and the anchor immediately tried to shut him down.
CNN, exactly.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute, CNN anchor with no experience in the military.
Yeah.
Maybe we should listen to what the U.S. Army veteran counter sniper has to say about this scenario, rather than try to shut him down.
I have zero experience, and just from the handful of occasions that I've dealt with the advanced teams and the SQ, which is, it doesn't even reach the ankle of the Secret Service, and the FBI or whoever. Sorry, or whichever other security service they use in the U.S. Like, we're not even at their level. We're like little league compared to them. But from what I experienced with them, I had the same reflexes. I'm like, that doesn't happen. It can't happen. There were so many things that went wrong. And I've listened to a lot of experts, and a lot of them say, first of all, the fact that they waited on the action, it makes no sense. Once the guy was shot, what the fuck are you doing waiting on the floor? Like, what are you doing? You got to pull the guy out immediately and get him the hell out of there. So there was a lot of things that went wrong. So someone's going to have to fucking, some heads are going to have to roll. And here's the other thing that immediately I thought, not about you guys, but the U.S. is not that far away from Canada. And I'm not just talking about distance. I'm also talking about ideology. And we've spent a lot of time on this podcast talking about how Trudeau has painted the Conservatives and Poilievre in such a negative way that I've never experienced before. I mean, it's one thing to criticize your adversaries in politics, and it's totally normal. but to demonize them and to call them far right extremists
or Hitler.
You know,
and this is what the Trump thing is, and the media has been very complicit in that, in calling him Hitler.
And this is
comparing him to Hitler.
And this is the effects that a dangerous communication strategy like that can have. Both in the US and it's happening. And like, I don't see why, I don't understand how in Canada we're kind of blinded by these things. We're not that far behind. And you know what? And this is not only towards Poilievre that I'm saying this. We've seen the violence around the Trudeau events. Everyone's seen them, right? I mean, they hate him. They fucking throw things at him. And I mean, where the hell have we gotten as a society where we feel like I'm gonna fuck you up, dude, man? He's just a politician.
I think this has a lot to do with it.
But also Trudeau has ruined the country.
I know, man, but he's ruined,
hold on, he's ruined lives, bro.
I know, but he's not the first, and he won't be the last politician to fuck things up.
But not to this extent. This is impressive.
I'm sure there's been worse cases. It's just
worse in the history of Canada. He's the worst.
It's what Ted is saying. The proximity that we have today with the news and the bullshit and all these, you know.
By the way, I don't condone any of this. But just so we're clear, but I can understand people's frustration, bro, because the economy is insane. Even the wasn't it CSIS or the RCMP that said if Canadians find out how much of a rut they are, they might revolt. So do you understand that you ruin people's lives and they get angry and they get aggressive? 100%, dude. Like it's only a natural part of being human. It's not just the cell phone. The guy rattled the country.
Yeah, but when you get to the point where, you know, I'm not a Trudeau fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't wish him dead.
No, exactly.
Or if he was wounded in an assassination attempt, I wouldn't say, "Oh, fuck, too bad they missed."
Died,
There was so much of that, and continues to be.
I wish him exile. I wish him exile. Actually, I think that's as far as we can go. Just exile.
People saying it's too bad he missed.
Yeah,
like what the fuck is wrong with you?
That's
man?
Crazy.
What is the matter with you? You need to do some serious soul searching. You need to. Yeah, but he's Hitler. They got to take him out because he's Hitler. I put this out on social media yesterday, and I promised people
read some of the
that
things,
I would share this. Yeah, I said on Twitter yesterday, what is it about Donald Trump that makes him Hitler 2.0 and a threat to democracy? Because those comparisons have been made repeatedly over the last decade, and Joe Biden has been part of that. Joe Biden has said that he's a threat to democracy, that Trump is a threat to democracy.
Well, Joe Biden, just a couple days before this, we need to put Trump in the crosshairs.
Well, I'll just read these, Poseidon. And I said, be specific. I'm genuinely curious because I don't get it. I get that he's an abrasive and polarizing personality. I get that he can be personally unlikable. I get that. You know, he can be an asshole.
Yeah.
A lot of people can be. A lot of people can be assholes. Some people get the job done because they're assholes. That's what helps them accomplish what they do. Helps them to be successful. They're asshole. What's that?
I already prepared it for you on the screen here if you want people to see it as well.
So Ashkan says, for me, the Trump-Hitler analogy is a weak one, but America in the 2020s and the Third Reich are pretty spot on, and the role/parallels between how the leader came, went, etc., are eerie. Yes and no. I can agree with that partially. But I don't think that makes Trump Hitler. Matthew says it's a terrible comparison, but at its base, what scares me is encouraging the hatred and fear of others. Threat to democracy, focus on personal gain over governing for the masses, stolen documents, transfer of power, undermining justice system, insurrection, rich people funding. Okay, you could say a lot of the same things about Joe Biden. Adam, Hitler stuff is unserious and hysterical, but I believe his attempts to stop the certification of the 2020 election. Oh, cripes, I just lost it. Sorry.
It's okay. I got it on the screen here for you. Look, we're going to go on to the next one. Look at the screen.
Yeah, but I can't see that far.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. I'm getting new glasses.
Hold on. Is that better?
Better or worse? You're like my eye doctor. Better or worse? First or the second? Stopping the certification of the 2020 election and his role in helping instigate January 6th have demonstrated he is a threat to American democracy. Okay, you can make that case, but I don't necessarily agree with it. He is a snake oil salesman, says Call Me Lee. Recently watched 2 documentaries on him. He's a financial delinquent, hired unlicensed workers, put their health at jeopardy, refused to pay them. He's bad-tempered. The TV shows he did, they had to edit. He was so bad, he sounded like a narcissist.
But that has,
he is a narcissist.
Yeah, but that's not comparing him to Hitler.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, let's just remind everyone, Ted, for a second. Hitler called for the extermination of an entire
not only did he
people.
call for it, he did his best to make it happen. From GT, I'm not on one side or the other, but man, do the lefties realize the harder they push the vote for us, not them, because they hate him, just pushes people to follow him more. We
don't have the same replies here.
Yeah, I don't think I'd say more, but it's okay. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Anyway, most people think they point to January 6th, the insurrection.
Yeah.
I'm not on board with the insurrection. You can't advocate for the overthrow of a duly elected government. I get that, but I don't think that makes him Hitler. Somebody said to me in response to that, are you going to wait for him to build gas chambers? And I said, you really think he's going to build gas chambers? And who's he going to put in them?
Yeah.
I get it. I get that people don't like him. I get that he's an abrasive, polarizing personality. I get that January 6th was ugly. But none of those things make him Hitler.
Yeah.
And he's a legitimate candidate for the presidency of the United States, and they've tried everything to push him out of the race, and none of it's worked. And every time they try something, it just makes him more popular.
Yeah. Again, we're not here supporting Trump, neither Biden. We're just commenting on things that we see and that we read and stuff. But what worries me a lot more, Ted, is the repercussions that something like this could have down the line, right? So obviously now I'm thinking, is there going to be some wacko that's going to think I'm going to fucking revenge Donald Trump and I'm going to kill Joe Biden?
You don't have to take out Biden. He's just going to fucking fall down the stairs one of these days. He's going to do it all on his own.
Let me take out a step there. What are the stairs? No, but you don't know how demented people are and how they think, right? And there's fanatics on either side. And that's what worries me more. And like I said, I'm very worried about that spilling over into Canada, especially with all the events that we've seen here unfolding. And Poilievre actually came out. He gave an interview at some radio station a couple of days ago saying that, the threats that I get are on a daily basis on me, my family. He had to get more security around him as well. So I think people need to fucking calm down.
Yeah, Poilievre's getting ripped because he said his initial tweet in reaction to
it was
Trump assassination attempt, he ended it by saying, "I'm glad the shooter's dead." And so immediately,
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. But immediately, all the all of the liberals.
Piers Morgan commented on it. He's like, "It's one thing to think it, but as a politician,
I wouldn't have said it. And if I was his social media editor, I would have said maybe leave that part out because now it's being politicized.
Yeah,
it's not. I don't think it's going to hurt him at all because I think most people are like you. And probably agree with it. I'm glad they got the shooter too.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. But
except to the point where it would be nice if he was still here to answer, why'd you do this?
Yeah.
Or were you acting alone?
Yeah.
We'll never know. It's just the Lee Harvey Oswald thing. Jack Ruby was conveniently situated to take care of Lee Harvey Oswald so that he didn't have to answer any questions.
We have no idea.
Yeah.
But now there's, it's a different time, right? I mean, we have cell phones, there's search histories, and it's weird because they can't find anything.
Yeah, apparently he has a very limited social media presence, and they can't seem to crack the code on his phone.
No, they know that he went to a shooting range, a target practice 1 or 2 days before, which, as a member of the gun club or wherever he was from, They're like, okay, so what? He went target shooting. Now we know that, okay, he was practicing for this, but there's nothing alarming that they could have said, fuck, this is what he was preparing. They found apparently explosives in his car. There's a theory that they're putting forward that because he had a detonating remote detonator on him, and they thought maybe he wanted to create some sort of diversion or whatever. So everything is like hypothetical. It's in the air. And they're looking at his internet history, and there was not like zero research on how to build bombs. You know, normally like they catch these terrorists or, you know, people that they kill, and they look and they're like, oh, look, he had visited this site. He had, you know, listened to this radical Islamist talking, or there's all these things that they kind of link up to the action. But this guy, they found absolutely nothing. And there's a young guy, 20 years old.
20 years old. He's 2 years out of high school. So many unanswered questions and gaping holes in trying to come up with a rational explanation of what happened. And, you know, I hope that there needs to be an independent, impartial investigation. Who does that? Is that Congress? Would that have to be a U.S. congressional investigation? It can't just be the Secret Service and the FBI who investigate this. There has to be an independent
I don't know how it works in the U.S., but here the independent committees that they put in place, I mean...
Would be a parliamentary committee?
Not necessarily. It could be an independent committee where they appoint a judge, for example, like a retired judge or so, and they take care of it, like the Commission Charbonneau that we had over here.
Right.
You know, they had to look into the corruption and collusion and all that stuff. It wasn't a parliamentary committee, so it was a separate thing. They had a judge. She had her team in place. They looked at all the facts. They invited people. They questioned them, and they made a report at the end.
And did they come to any solid conclusions?
I don't remember. It was a list of recommendations.
Yeah, you have to wonder, even with an independent, impartial investigation, what kind of pressure is being applied behind the scenes and by whom?
Yeah, I guess there's always going to be that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know, and
I think that we should put Poseidon in charge. The Poseidon Commission, independent investigation.
Oh, I'm down. I'm sure I can do it. I see stuff that nobody else sees.
Yeah. What were you just laughing at?
Oh, here, I'll show you guys. Hold on. Because I feel like it's getting a little depressing now in the morning show, so we're just gonna, I think this is funny.
Well, these are serious times.
I'm gonna read it.
Okay, read it.
Hard times create hot chicks. Hot chicks create good times. Good times create fat chicks. Fat chicks create hard times.
That's very funny.
Very profound. Very profound.
That's obviously a satire on. What was it? Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times.
Yeah.
where do you think we are in that?
We're in good men create, or we're in weak men creating hard times.
Yeah, 100%.
Unfortunately, and I feel bad about the timing of that because it's the world that my kids are.
What comes after that? So weak men create hard times, and then hard
times create strong men.
Yeah.
So there's a whole other period where we have to wait to get the right men to create the good times again.
I'll be gone. I'll be gone by them. Hard times create strong men. World War II. Created strong men. Strong men create good times. Post-war boom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good times create weak men.
Gen X.
Yeah. or even boomers.
Yeah.
Even boomers. You know, like I grew up in good times. I grew up amidst a lot of privilege.
Yeah, they lasted a while now. Yeah.
But now we're moving into what is it? Weak men create.
Good men create hard times.
No, good men. Strong men create good. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. So that's where we're at now. Good times creating weak men, and weak men creating hard times.
No, weak men. We're at the weak men creating hard times.
Yes.
Yeah. God damn.
Yeah. And like I say, I feel bad because that's the world that my kids are. You know, I have kids from 16 to 34 years old. I got 4 kids.
How long do you think the hard times will last?
I don't know, man. I
Yeah.
don't know, and I'm very worried. Like the other day, because I don't drive through Montreal very often, but I was going. I dropped by my parents' house yesterday, Park X. Then instead of taking the carry, I went through the city to go south. And Park Avenue and Pine Avenue. Have you driven by there lately?
Where? Sorry?
Park Avenue and Pine Avenue.
No, I haven't.
What the fuck is going on there? There's tents. It's.
Are you serious?
Oh my god! Everywhere. I'm like, what the fuck's happening here?
Well, I mean, a 4.5 is $2,050 for a shitty one. So I mean, it's understandable. People, who the fuck has $2,000 for a 4.5?
I'm the luckiest guy in the fucking world. I'm in a 4.5 in Point Claire, and it's an older building, and it's not luxurious by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm paying $940. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Like I'll never move out of there ever.
Yeah.
This just made me think of something. But it's personal. I'm gonna tell you guys after.
But yeah, I was surprised.
So there's a tent city going on out there. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And by the way, they're not homeless anymore. They're the unhoused.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, it's the unhoused.
No
Yeah,
way.
because if you call them homeless, you stigmatize them.
Right. We have a fucking problem in the city.
Big time. In the country.
Yeah, but it was amazing for me to see. I've never seen that. I've seen homeless people sleeping in doorways or whatever on a park bench, but I've never seen something like this. It was fascinating to me.
Yeah.
I was freaking out. My wife's like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell happened? When did this happen?
How many tents did you count?
I was driving by, so
But was
as you're going south,
Towards downtown.
yeah,
On
towards
Park
downtown,
Avenue.
on Park Avenue, right when you reach Pine, there's like this grass kind of thing in between. You know where the Air Transat building is?
Yeah, there's like a hotel.
Leo Pariso, what the fuck is?
There's like a hotel too over there on the left side, right?
No, it's not a hotel. It's a big building. It's an office building. It's where Air Transat has their offices. Right in front there, because it's Pine Avenue. I think it's called Leo Pariso, the street, whatever.
Anyways.
And that grass thing in the middle, it was full. And then on the right hand side, where you come from the university, there's like another little mini stretch of grass that was full as well.
So we're talking about 50 to 100 tents.
Probably less, but I'd say a good 30.
A good 30, okay.
Yeah. Which is still like fuck it, all stuck together.
Hey, dude, it's still insane, dude. We've never had that.
Like
We've
it's
never
not one
had
tent, some guy camping. It's like a whole fucking
dude in the sorry, go ahead, Ted.
It would have been rare for me. I don't remember ever seeing any tents.
Yeah,
no
driving around Montreal like that. That was unheard of. Not so many years ago. Yeah. I would have been totally taken aback to see that. I took the bus I'm taking the bus now because I can't drive because of my epilepsy diagnosis. I'm temporarily precluded from driving, so I'm taking the bus. And I got on the bus the other day, and there was a guy who he recognized me. I didn't know him. Apparently, we had met before. But anyway, we're shooting the shit, and we're heading back to Point Claire. And I said to him, "Where are you living?" He said, "I'm living in a tent out behind such and such a warehouse, like at fucking Hymas and
this is
St.
like a normal
John's."
person that probably can't afford housing. He's not like your regular homeless person, right?
He's a guy who does part-time jobs where he can find them, and lives in a tent.
Because if I understand correctly, and I hate sounding fucking negligent or oblivious to the reality, because there's a lot of people that have jobs, like they're what we would call like a normal person, like not a homeless person that would live on a bench or whatever. These are people that just can't afford housing anymore, right?
Yeah,
they just live in a tent.
Lower middle class.
Yeah.
Lower middle class. You used to be able to at least afford a shithole apartment.
Yeah.
But yeah, now a lot of people just. I saw a chart the other day of rental prices pre-pandemic and post-pandemic in different places in the country, and it's crazy. And I don't know. I'm not an economist, and I don't know the first thing about economics, so I don't know how to explain it. I don't know why an apartment that was $1,100 in 2018 is now $2,300. I don't know why that is. And if you look at the pandemic, a lot of people got awfully rich from the pandemic, and it was big companies made a shitload of money, and small companies went under.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's a sad reality, especially a city like Montreal that, as far as I know, was always this thriving city.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was always this reputable, cosmopolitan place where, there were a lot of things to do, busy summers, a great tourist destination for the winter. It was I don't want to call it a vibrant city because, New York is a vibrant city. But
Montreal is a vibrant city too, yeah.
And to see the way that it's just, I don't know, man.
Do you think that there's been a fundamental shift in the economy to where there is now the middle class is shrinking, and either you've got a whole lot or you've got sweet fuck all?
100%.
Yeah, you think so?
100%, because you have you have a lot less buying power. Like, I think the middle class, in order to be considered middle class now, I think you have to have a household income of over $300,000.
Unless
crazy.
the middle class has grown. However, being middle class anymore is considered, living in an unaffordable situation.
Yeah.
Well, no, middle class hasn't grown because wages haven't gone up.
No, wages have gone up. It's just that the cost of living has gone.
Well, sorry. Let me rephrase that. The cost of living has eclipsed wages going up.
But that was always the case. You wouldn't. Yeah, I don't think anyone would be able to live on the base salary even 5, 6, 10 years ago.
No, but with 65 grand a year, you could go a long way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
65 grand a year. Now 65 grand a year, you're considered what? Lower middle class? You can barely survive. Dude, 65 grand a year is about $3,800 a month after taxes. If you're paying $2,000 for
65 grand, you're getting taxed the highest, like you're 42%, right? You're taxed at 42%?
Yeah, you're right.
43?
You're on the before last bracket. So you're getting, after 65K, let's say, you get what? 43,000 a year. If rent costs you $24,000, that's half of your salary after taxes.
Yeah. There was a chart I saw online the other day, 65 years ago, back in 1959. I was born in 1959. All right, here's what things cost in 1959. A dozen eggs, 35 cents. Loaf of bread, 18 cents. New car, $2,800. New house, $14,000.
Wow.
I remember my parents bought their house, I think, in 1957, and it was $15,000.
Yeah. My parents bought the place in Park X in the early 80s for 80 grand.
So average new house, $14,000. Average income per year in 1959, $4,800. And these are all Canadian prices. So I sent this to my two oldest, my daughter Lauren, who lives in France with her husband, and my son Sam, who lives in Toronto, and they're both doing pretty well. So Lauren says, new house to average income ratio. Please tell us again how all we have to do is work harder and stop putting avocado on toast. And I said, I never said that. I'm on your side. She said, yeah, but you're a boomer, so I have to be resentful by default. And then Sam says, this was a fun exchange to read.
So like a house was 3 times your salary, whereas opposed to now at, let's say you make 65,000.
You make 60K, you're not going to find a house for 180.
It's 10 times your salary.
More
sometimes.
Yeah. No, it's unaffordable. And the sad reality is that I don't think it's going to scale back.
No.
Like, at best, it's going to stay where it is. But there's no way that, you're going to go back to buying a house at 400,000.
Yeah.
Or 430, which is what we bought our house, you know.
Can I make an interesting point? Because I see everyone about
We'll
this.
be the judge of whether it's interesting.
I think it's pretty interesting. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's thought of this. You know how you know how most people assholes. You know how most people are yelling, increase the wages, increase the wages, increase the wages. I don't think the problem is paying people more. I think people are overtaxed and the price of everything needs to come down. I think that's the solution. The economy needs to be fixed and less taxes.
You can't bring everything down because at the same time, I mean,
No. I'm not saying. Hold
we
on.
need a good war.
No. I'm not saying to forcefully bring everything down. I'm not saying to go around telling. But I'm saying you fix the economy, you fix the issues, and the prices will naturally come down. You know what I mean?
or you create more competition.
Or you create more competition. That's one thing we're lacking in Canada is we don't have everything's a monopoly here. It's fake competition, even between Bell, Telus, Rogers. They own the smaller three companies, Koodo, Fido, and Virgin.
Virgin? You know? No, Virgin's not in Canada.
Virgin is owned by Bell.
Yeah,
Virgin Mobile.
Virgin?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like the Virgin radio stations.
Oh, okay,
their
okay,
own,
okay, okay.
Bell owns them.
Bell owns them.
And they probably pay Richard Branson like a branding fee or something.
Yeah.
Who am I thinking about? Verizon. I'm thinking about
Verizon you're thinking
They
of,
had
yeah.
tried to come in Canada, right?
Verizon
and
tried
they
to come
They
in.
blocked them.
Yeah.
Well,
What a fucking...
it's we're getting rattled here. Like, bro, it's not normal, bro. Like, it's.
I've told you guys, we've had this conversation before. I think on a weekly basis, if not several times a month, like maybe 2-3 times a month, I tell my wife, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, I want to leave. And incidentally, it happens when I'm in Montreal.
Do you have an EU passport?
No, I don't.
But could you get one?
I could get one.
So you could move
could
it.
get
See,
one.
that's what my daughter is doing in France.
Yeah.
Her mom's Italian, so
Here's
she
the problem,
was born
though.
in Italy. So Lauren can live anywhere in
It
Europe.
happens to me every time I'm driving in Montreal. I don't know why. It's like this reflex, I guess. Like, fuck this city. Fuck. Like yesterday when I saw the tents, I was like, what the fuck, man? Why? What the hell's going on here, man? It makes no sense. We always come back to the same thing. It's like, where the fuck are you going to go? Where are you going to go?
Greece. Go to Greece.
No, but
man.
here's the thing. Yeah, where is it safe? First of all, where is it safe? And where is it better to raise your kids and to have a family? And it's tough to find a place that's better than Canada.
What about Colombia? Your wife's Colombian. Is there anywhere in Colombia where you could go and live and that's affordable and safe and
I don't know. Yeah, Colombia,
prosperous?
I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know if I want to be in Colombia.
Weather's nice.
The weather's very, very nice. Yeah. The northern part of Colombia, we had gone to Cartagena. What a beautiful city. Oh, it's on the coast.
Isn't that the headquarters for the cartel, though?
No.
What am I thinking of?
Cali.
Medellin.
Or Medellin.
Yeah.
But even those cities, they've cleaned them up. I mean, that's the bad thing about Colombia. I mean, they've been stigmatized with this
Big
thing.
time. Big time.
Cocaine and
Yeah,
drug
because that's the
cartels,
first thing I think of when I think,
absolutely.
why would you go to Colombia? It's dangerous. That's where all the fucking drug cartels
But it's
are.
not that. I mean, it's still there. I mean, we can't ignore the facts there, but they've chased them away. They're in the regions. They're in the mountains, in the forests. I mean, I didn't experience anything, and of course, we weren't there long enough. But from what I'm hearing and from what I'm reading, a lot of these cities have been cleaned up, especially Medellin, which has become a huge fucking
Tourist destination?
Yes, but it's
it
a
on the
huge
ocean?
student hub. No.
Inland?
It's a huge student hub. It's become like this whole hip little city now.
Yeah.
But I fell in love with Cartagena. It was such a beautiful.
Cartagena's on the ocean, is it not?
Yeah, it's all the way on the top. It's the northernmost.
Yeah. It's on the Pacific, right?
No, it's in the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Is part of Colombia
They have the
on the Pacific?
They touch the Pacific.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Cartagena is in the Gulf of Mexico. Beautiful city. So I wouldn't want to go there. Greece is off. It's in the back of my mind every single fucking day. But at the same time, it's like my kids aren't going to be better off in Greece. You know what I mean?
No,
They won't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. You want to do what's best for your kids.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So, and I think we're at the best place. It's just that we're in a fucking rut right now.
Yeah.
And it's just frustrating.
Yeah.
It's
Do you think it'll change with Polyev? Because I think he's going to win, and I think he's going to win big.
I think he's going to win
unless
very
there's unless something dramatic happens between now and the election.
Last week, they broke a record in fundraising. In Canadian history, in the Canadian political history, they broke a record. They raised how much did they raise? Fuck, I can't remember the amount, but it was massive.
You're talking about the federal conservatives,
and it was in Montreal. It was in Montreal. I can't remember what they raised for a single day.
Isn't that Anthony Housefather's writing?
Yeah,
and he's a liberal.
Isn't that your arch nemesis?
Who?
Anthony Housefather.
My arch nemesis?
Yeah.
No.
Or somebody you don't like?
No. I mean, I know Anthony. He's a good guy. He's just,
who was the other guy that you didn't like?
I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, they're focusing a lot on Mont Royal. I don't know if they're going to win.
That's Neil Oberman who's running for them in Mont Royal.
He's their candidate.
Yeah.
Look, it's the only province left for Poilievre to fight for, because everywhere else he's ahead and by a fucking mile. You know. So Quebec, I don't think they're focused that much. I don't think they want to take the lead in Quebec.
If he has a big majority, does it matter how many seats he has in Quebec? If he's got a majority elsewhere in the
what matters in Quebec
country?
is that there is a split and the Liberals don't get the seats. Like back in 2011, when with the Orange Wave, where Quebec was primarily won by the NDP, the Conservatives had a majority.
Right.
Because they won everything else.
Yeah.
So I think that's what he's banking on. The Bloc Québécois is doing fantastic in Quebec, so they're in the lead. And I think all he wants is just to, surpass the Liberals.
Right.
At least come
in Quebec.
In Quebec.
Yeah.
So because I think they're neck and neck now, depending on the polls that you read.
But how does that affect what policies he would implement nationwide?
I don't think he would.
Yeah.
I don't think he would. If he gets a majority government, he has the mandate from the people to govern and to put in place. So
what do you think he would do right away to try to make life more affordable? Because I think that's what that's what we were just talking about, and I think that's what most people care about.
It's difficult to say, because it's one thing what you're promising, and it's another thing once you're in place, once you're in power, to actually and effectively
implement those
roll
policies,
out your policy. And let's not forget the other thing. He's going to be taking power, assuming tomorrow there's an election and he wins. He's coming in with a $42 billion deficit. How much was it? 41, 42, $43 billion deficit?
The national debt is well over $1 trillion.
The national debt, you can kind of put that on the back burner. Because I think your priority is just balancing your books. Let's just start by balancing your budget here,
I thought it was going to balance itself.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Surprise. So at least if you can manage to have to be in the positive every single year, automatically that's going to have some sort of impact on your debt. But I don't think they focus on the debt. I think the priority.
No, I just brought it up because it's
good.
It's so outrageous that it's over $1 trillion.
Oh, it's way more than that now.
Yeah.
But he has a good plan. It's just that I'm worried that once he goes in, he's going to have to cut no matter what.
Yeah.
And automatically, that's going to be perceived negatively towards him. Right? He's going to be the guy that cuts it. And Justin Trudeau's already banking on that, right? He's already, quote unquote, campaigning on the fact that we're giving you stuff and they're going to be cutting. Yeah, but dude, you're giving me from what? You can't afford what you're giving me.
Exactly.
So at some point, there has to be a balance. At some point, someone is going to have to make the hard decision and say, guys, we hate to do this, but we're going to have to cut from somewhere because we can't go on like this anymore.
Yeah, well, it's usually the Conservatives who do that. It's the Liberals who spend freely, and then the Conservatives have to come in and clean up the mess.
And we've said this before. When Justin Trudeau came into power, that year, it was a surplus budget officially, but by the time the elections came along, Harper had taken so much money on, different candies, you're promising all these things. And they had a deficit of about $4 billion or $5 billion, something like that. Which at the federal level, a $4 or $5 billion deficit is nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's nothing. And he messed up. So whatever, we're not going to go back in the past, but I think that's going to be Poilievre's biggest challenge on convincing people that whatever policies he puts in place are necessary in order to fix our economy.
Right.
So he's going to have to effectively communicate that. And one example was how Couillard did it in Quebec in 2014, where he had campaigned. During the campaign, he said, listen, it's not going to be easy. The first 3 years, 2 to 3 years are going to be hard. We have to balance our books. We have to get our credit score increased. And that's what he did.
Could you make a Trudeau to Poilievre comparison? Could you compare that to Trudeau Sr. and then the move to Mulroney? Is that the sort of challenge that Poilievre will face? And what did Mulroney do to manage and offset all of the spending that Trudeau Sr., because Trudeau Jr. is just like Senior, right?
Yeah.
Senior was throwing money around like a drunken sailor as well.
The only difference was that the Senior, he was a real politician.
He was,
and he had a huge likability.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting point that you bring, because see, now with the death of Brian Mulroney, everybody went back to kind of glorify everything that he did, right? And honor him and his job and the policies that he put in place. We're talking about the free trade agreement. We're talking about privatization.
Well, he did GST, and that was not popular, but
Exactly.
did that not help? Did that not help bring down the deficit?
Everyone was campaigning against that. And when they came into power, when Chrétien came into power, Chrétien campaigned against it. He came into power and he didn't touch it.
Yeah.
Bob Rae in Ontario was a provincial premier back in the day. He was campaigning against free trade. He's like, fuck this shit. It's not going to help us, blah, blah, blah. And then when free trade happened and he came into power, he shut his mouth.
Yeah.
Because he realized how much it helped his local businesses.
Yeah.
Right? So when we look back in time, you realize how effective his policies were. But in time, like at the time that he was actually putting them in place, he wasn't very popular, Brian Mulroney.
No, he was not.
He wasn't.
He was vilified for a lot of
something similar,
but it worked, right?
Of course, something similar might happen to Poilievre. The only differences that I see are in the character and the charisma.
Oh yeah, for sure, sure.
That might hurt
Poilievre is
him.
very smarmy,
and
sarcastic, And Mulroney was not that.
No,
Mulroney was a statesman.
He was a gentleman.
He was a statesman,
and he maintained and created great relationships with the municipalities and the provincial premiers,
and on foreign affairs as well.
Foreign affairs, he had a great track record.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that the PQ was in power in Quebec when he was there, and that's where people were amazed by the fact that the PQ government supported Mulroney because of the promise he made them to bring them into the Constitution. And he made good on his promise on 2 occasions, right? We had the Meech Lake Accord and the Charlottetown Accord.
Yeah.
They failed, but and this is when we go back to his funeral, there were like Lucien Bouchard, for example, and all these former separatists that came out and honored him, because at least he was the guy that not only said it, but he actually did it. It didn't work for the separatists over here, but there was someone in Ottawa that actually looked at the interests of Quebecers, and he actually tried. I think that's going to be a challenge for Poilievre, because I've heard his policy on housing. For example, Poseidon was mentioning the housing crisis that we have, and his plan is, we're going to subsidize the municipalities because it's the municipalities that are in charge of housing and permits and all that stuff, on actual results. So you're going to get the money if you get the results. So you're going to get money according to the the results that you bring forward. So
results of what though?
Well, cutting the red tape, getting more permits approved.
Results related to housing.
Exactly.
You're talking, okay.
Yeah. Put the projects in place. There was an article I read the other day that the Plante administration bought some property. I can't remember how many millions of dollars for social housing, and it's still there. Nothing's happened. So there's a bunch of red tape for permits and regulation and all that stuff. And his argument is, cut that bullshit, build the fucking houses, and you're gonna get your money. So the more projects you put in place, the more money you're gonna get. The more you stick to your red tape and the more you delay, well, fuck off, you're not getting money. So it's you give and you take kind of thing, right? And the other policy he has, his fiscal policy, is centered around spending. what is he calling it? It's like a pay-as-you-go kind of thing. So the government will not spend more than what it makes.
I have that's what I use for a credit card. I have a pay-as-you-go credit card, so I'm never in debt.
Yeah.
I can only spend whatever I've put on that credit card.
Yeah.
If I put $300 on it, then that's what I've got to spend on my credit card.
We'll see if it's true, right? I mean, we've all seen the promises and then the actual result. But he seems like a guy who's going to come in and say, shut your fucking mouth. I'm in charge. This is what's going to happen. Cut the bullshit. Like, he's a no bullshit guy.
Yeah.
And I think
no bullshit guy.
Yeah. And
I like how he said that.
And I think
because he's a no bullshit guy. This guy, bro,
no bullshit.
Just horse shit.
So I think he's going to rock the boat, and I don't think that the public servants are going to like him. And I think there's going to there's going to be a time frame during which he won't be liked.
Yeah.
But
well, it'll be all the usual suspects. It already is the usual suspects who don't like him: public servants, union people, media. It's the.
What's interesting to me, and these are the question marks I have, and even related to this incident that happened in the U.S., is what is the trickle effect that this is going to have, like in the next 5 months, in the next year, in the next 3 years, right? The fact that Poilievre gets elected and he's going to fucking rattle everyone up in Ottawa, what effect is that going to have? I'm sure that he won't be hiring more public servants than Trudeau did. What effect is that going to have, right? He's the walls are up with respect to the media. What effect is that going to have? Are the media going to continue to just, oh yeah, that's how you are, fuck? So is there going to be like this what do you call it, like this snowball effect where you're mean towards us, then we're going to double down and fuck you up? Like, are we going to continue in that cycle?
I think the media is becoming less and less, mainstream media is becoming less and less influential because people are starting to see through them. I don't follow a lot of mainstream media anymore, or I don't formulate my outlook and opinions based solely on mainstream media. Increasingly, I go to independent media. In many instances, former old school journalists who now do podcasts or write on Substack, who are no longer part of the mainstream media, because they recognize that the mainstream media largely is full of shit. So I go to multiple sources now, and I don't stay in my own ideological bubble. I'll go outside and read what people are saying who I don't necessarily agree with, and then I'll formulate my opinions and outlooks based on filtering through those multiple sources. If you just watch TV or just read the newspaper, you're not getting the whole story.
No, exactly.
And what you are getting is slanted.
It's interesting because, we had Paul Larocque on our podcast. Paul Larocque, for those who don't know, who don't follow French media, he's one of the main journalists in Quebec.
TVA guy.
TVA, LCN. Yeah. He's not the what do you call it? The head anchor, or
right?
Yeah, he's not. I mean, it's a girl, I think, Sophie Thibault, but he's one of the biggest faces of.
Right.
And he was on our podcast, and he was saying that he goes, "We are living at a crucial time in history right now where mainstream media is suffering. Its credibility is suffering, but at the same time, there's a lot of honest journalists that are there to do their job, and they don't necessarily agree with what's happening on social media, where you have any random influencer or popular guy that releases anything that doesn't have to follow the same code of ethics that these guys have to follow, right? And it's crazy, the competition. And it goes, competition is good because as journalists, we want you to have as many sources of information as possible.
Different perspectives.
But it goes, the big issue is that when we want to report on a story, we have to follow rules. Like, we need to have at least two sources that corroborate or that confirm whatever, so there's all these things that have to happen, and before we say something we have to be very careful. There's a whole legal department and aspect that come in play, and while we're in that process, you have all these guys on social media that are out with who knows thousands of different content that could be available.
Yeah, you obviously have to take everything you read on social media with a grain of salt.
And that not everybody does that,
No,
right?
of course
And at the
not.
same time, because of the stigma now that the mainstream media has, you just don't even listen to them anymore. Like you and like me, I do because
I do too, but like I say, I seek alternative perspectives as well, and then I filter it all.
But there used to be a time where
come to
the
my
news
conclusions.
that you would get, you would be like, oh, okay, this is what happens, right?
Yeah,
You
100%.
You wouldn't question it.
No.
Now
and
you do.
having worked in newsrooms for 30, 35 years, I worked in newsrooms at a time where journalists recognize that, okay, our job is to find the facts and report the truth based on the facts.
Exactly.
And I don't believe that's the way it works anymore.
Yeah. Look, he didn't say it online, but between the lines, I kind of understood that they're competing with the accessibility of social media and
Yeah.
how quickly people get their news. And we live in a world right now where you need to be first. You
Yeah.
need to, the breaking news kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to compete with them. So it was interesting because it's this transition period where the mainstream media is trying to adapt and to survive
Yep.
and to kind of outperform whatever is available online, which is the new trend. So
I think they should stop. But again, this is my opinion, and I'm a dumbass, right? I think they should stop competing for who's going to be first to break the story. I think what they should focus on is non-biased and honesty and easy to access. So let's say something happened, you want to go look back at a certain story that happened 3 weeks ago. It has to be archived and everything, and you have to be able to access it a lot easier, basically getting rid of the noise. And it has to be to a point where it's just like this and this happened, and then if there's changes to the story, there needs to be updates and correction. The corrections need to be mentioned on the article. Let's say, I think that's the best way for them to compete in this market where everyone has to be first. Everyone has to be first. I think if they go counter current, they have better chances of surviving.
But that was his argument, at least the way I understood it, is that it's almost impossible to be competitive when you have to follow that sort of code of conduct and ethics where it's literally impossible to have the story out within seconds.
You're
because
handcuffed.
You're like, okay, do we have two sources, two separate sources to confirm? Is our legal department ready to confirm and to give us the green light? Can we say, like, it's nearly impossible. Meanwhile, you have some guy on the street fucking doing a selfie video.
Exactly. There you go. I think really they should focus on the legitimacy.
Also, let me add this.
Because these are people that went to school for this. They went to university. They spent money.
Well, it's not the fact that you go to university that makes you a good journalist either.
That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. What I mean
That's
is
a whole other conversation. What journalism schools are like today versus what they were like a generation ago.
and what they teach and how they teach it. But I appreciate the fact that there's a lot of these big guys now, big names, that have transitioned to social media.
Yeah.
We mentioned Peter Mansbridge, even though he's so CBC that you kind of get that still in his
my
podcast.
favorite, and I've mentioned her before, my favorite is Trish Wood, formerly of the Fifth Estate, who I used to work with 40
I'm
years
so
ago.
excited to see what's going to happen come September with Paul Arcand, who I love listening on the radio, who
That'll
now is
be
going to
great.
have a podcast. The podcast, of course, is linked to La Presse, which I don't know what that's going to be like, but knowing Paul Arcand, he never fucking took orders from anybody. He always did what he wanted to do. So it's interesting for me to see, these big figures merging onto these audio platforms.
You see what happened with Morning Joe the other day? Morning Joe is Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski on MSNBC.
Okay, yeah.
It's their flagship news program, and they're vehemently anti-Trump, and they pulled the show yesterday morning. Monday morning they pulled the show. they didn't broadcast the show because they were afraid they were going to say something stupid or inflammatory.
Because it didn't have all the information or whatever.
Yeah. And then yesterday they came on and Joe Scarborough said, we were just surprised and disappointed that they wouldn't let us on. And if they do that again, well, they can find new hosts. And I thought to myself, be careful what you wish for, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Be careful what you wish for. And because I know this from experience, just when you think you're riding high and you're hosting a popular show,
They don't give a fuck.
yeah, they'll throw you out the fucking door, and within a matter of months, if not weeks, you're forgotten.
Yeah.
That's the nature of the beast. That's the way it works.
All right, guys.
Also,
yeah, go ahead.
One last thing, I just want to say this on how I think journalists should go back to being a certain way, or in this crazy everyone has to be first. Let's say you write a story. I think a good strategy would be, let's say you're writing out a story and you don't have everything. There should be attached to the article or on the webpage saying still in development.
Yeah.
Meaning whatever you read could be subject to change.
Yeah, they have
Well,
that.
you see that. This is a developing story.
Yeah, they do have that. And if they don't have
but on a website, let's say you're reading something,
Yeah.
you're watching one of their videos, exactly what was updated. I'm talking about like literally down to the last detail of what was changed, updated, or when was the last time this, or like
you do see that,
or they should also
'cause you
see
can
like
last updated, and they usually when they make changes they note it, they update it. It's just that
but it's very minute now. It's out of the way. This should be like.
I just think it's a credibility thing, and people have lost trust, and it's a huge challenge for them to make people trust mainstream media again. And
But another
succeed or not. But
another big problem they face. Sorry, I just want to wrap this up. Another huge problem that they face is funding, man. They don't like especially in this new age of like a TikToker could get the sponsors.
Yeah.
Like I think that's also their main issue is funding.
Yeah.
I don't know, how do they get funded?
Well, the government funds them, except if they're private.
No, but let's say they're private, right? Let's say a private, trustworthy news source.
Yeah.
How are they funded? What, through sponsors? Yeah. There's that. Then there's a lot of things that they could do, but what, they start selling merch? You know what I mean? Like, it's rough. It's rough.
All right, guys. On that note, we're gonna sign off for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it.
George, you like this? You like
There was
this?
a bunch of other things that I had put on the list, but we went off on Trump, and it was
It's going to be interesting to see where this is at a week from today,
Exactly.
and whether any of those questions we brought
There was also
up
the
have been
convention that we didn't talk about, which was
JD Vance.
Yeah. We're gonna be back, guys, next week, so we'll have much more to talk about then. See what how this story develops. Tune in again next week, guys. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on your notifications whenever we go live or whenever there's anything else published by Pantelis. You'll be notified. You can watch it. Head on over to patreon.com/Pantelis. Get yourself a subscription. Get yourself access to exclusive content. The Poseidon 69. I am Poseidon.com. Ted Bird, ladies and gentlemen.
Cactus Landscaping.
Plugging Cactus Landscaping.
Tell Zach to hire me to cut the grass.
And stay tuned. There are so many amazing, interesting things coming with Terry DeMonte on the Standing By Terry and Ted podcast. And if you know or understand French, head on over to Politiquement Parlant. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow us. Thank you all for the support. Thank you for tuning in every week.
If you know or understand French, sus magren.
We told him it means have a nice day.
I like that.
All right, guys. Take care. We'll see you next week.